Good evening, everybody. Chris and Tiffany here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to tonight's live video. We are back. Talk about some cruising news. It's been an interesting week in cruise news, so we're going to get into all of that tonight. Of course, see how everybody's doing, what's going on out there in the world.
We've got Dilly here, says afternoon all. Attila's here. Hey, y'all.
Welcome to the show. Give everybody a second to hop in, everybody a second to say hi.
Desiree's here. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, Desiree. Welcome to the show. Welcome. All right.
See if I can get the big fluffy.
The big fluffy?
The big fluffy. Don't mind his face. We're still practicing.
He's not going to cooperate.
Cruising Chris is here. Good evening, all from MSC Seashore. Oh.
Ooh, from the seashore.
Yes.
Awesome. Really?
He's going to show everybody how acrobatic he is today.
Yeah. All right, so let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about cruising news. Been some interesting stories this week. MSC Cruise Lines. They have announced that they are building a new class of cruise ship. They're calling the Constellation class. Now, what MSC, they are after the U.S. market. They are after U.S. share. They want to become the largest cruise line out there. And so they're going to build the world's largest cruise ship, 265,000 gross tons, which is larger than an Icon.
Too big.
I mean, the Icon seas is already a huge cruise ship. There's tons of pictures out on the internet of like the Icon sitting next to another cruise ship, and all these other ships look so little and tiny next to the Icon as it is. But MSC is going to be building a cruise ship even bigger than that. They want the title of world's largest cruise ship.
That's crazy.
So yeah, just imagine the number of people that they're going to be able to get on board that ship. I mean, that's a lot.
That's a lot. But California Linda says, hello, everyone. Nellie's here. Hi, y'all.
Welcome. Now, Oceana Cruises, they are coming out with a new cruise ship, a new class of cruise ship. And there's been some, we're going to have to call them additional hints from Royal Caribbean. See, Royal Caribbean's been talking about building a smaller class cruise ship for a while. It's been dubbed the Discovery class, whether that's real or just a code name, we don't know yet. And apparently now the Discovery class cruise ship is in the planning phase. So no specifics, no anything. Basically the, architects are drawing it up, coming up with plans that all still has to get approved. But it is in a planning phase. And the only real confirmation that Royal Caribbean has come out with, real one, is it will be smaller than an Icon. So,
okay.
Well, they've made other hints. They've made other hints that their older cruise ships, their smaller cruise ships are reaching the end of their life cycle. They're going to at some point have to do something about that. And it's not necessarily, because people want smaller cruise ships. That's not Royal Caribbean's motivation. You think it would be, but it's not. It's because there are ports and places out there that only smaller ships can go to. So it's that's their motivation. They're saying possibly the size of a Vision class cruise ship, somewhere in that area. But the only official word they've said so far is it will be smaller than Icon. And Icon's the world's largest cruise ship. So yeah, it really kind of gives a wide variety and range that ship can actually land in.
Misty's here, says hello, everyone. Nellie says those smaller class ships are going to be expensive. And then Nellie says, Chris, I'm excited for you and beyond. I'm not sure if that's you or Cruising Chris. I'm sure it's Cruising Chris, right? Because he's on the MSC Seashore.
And then you made me lose my whole train of thought there. But yeah, so that's new cruise ship news this week. This week has also been the week of cruise ships saying, hey, I'm done with being next to the dock. I am now at this point going to unsecure myself and I'm going to float off. We actually had 3 this week. And we've had it before. You know, mooring lines get old, stuff like that. You get a high wind, a flat side of a ship. It pushes enough force, it starts to snap those lines. We actually had 3 of them this week. We had the Holland America Westerdam snapped her mooring lines in Ketchikan on the May 30th. No injuries. We had the MSC Seaside. She snapped her mooring lines at Ocean Key on the 31st. Again, luckily, no injuries. And then we had the Norwegian Epic. Now, the Epic, though, did not snap her lines. The Epic ripped the connecting points on the dock straight out. There's some video out there if you can see that hunk of cement come up and clang on the side of the ship. You were watching it earlier.
Yeah, it left a
big old. It did
to the side of the ship.
Well, yeah, I mean, it literally just ripped those hunks of cement, those mooring cleats, straight out of the dock. Didn't even break a line, broke the dock on its way out and floated on out. That one, there were some minor injuries. There was one lady, female passenger. She was on the gangway because naturally it pulled the gangways away. The gangways collapsed. In this case, she was on the gangway, did go into the water. Her husband jumped in the water to help her out and save her. And they both ended up at the hospital with minor injuries in that particular case. No injuries from the other ones. But yeah, really shows you what the wind, just wind, can do to one of these cruise ships. And so for all those naysayers out there, well, I didn't think the weather was so bad you couldn't dock there. Give me compensation. The wind blew a cruise ship completely out, broke lines, ripped cement off of cement. If the captain tells you it's too windy to do something, yeah, I would take that as gospel, and he means it.
Yeah. James is here. Hello, Chris and Tiffany, and all high seas cruisers. Cruising Chris says, I am excited for the beyond, Nellie. Nellie says, Royal Casino sent me an offer for our August 16th Star of the Seas, but we will be on the Harmony.
That's right. Hopefully not being chased by a hurricane now that Rick has jinxed us with this. I
did see talks that there's already hurricanes brewing out there.
There was a tropical storm and it kind of fell apart out near St. Thomas. I've seen some stuff. I don't know how real it is talking about. There's stuff heading towards Texas already. It has the potential to be an interesting season, and hurricane season did officially kick off 4 days ago.
Yes.
So we are officially into hurricane season. So you never know what kind of cool stuff that you could see and not see. Like I said, we've already had 3 ships just say, hey, you know what? We're done being docked. Off we go.
James says, yes, looking forward to the Harmony. Cruising Chris says, a few of the crew were talking about the Seascape and Ocean Key.
Ocean Key, it's one of those interesting ones. Because it seems like there's a certain time of year where the wind blows just right in Ocean Key that they have issues docking in Ocean Key, for a few months out of every year. And it's all about that wind, and there's a very narrow channel to get in and out of Ocean Key for MSC ships. I can see where it could be a challenge for them.
Yeah.
And that wind in the Bahamas can pick up.
Oh, yeah.
And just get to blowing. And, well, this time it blew it right off the dock. So, now, of course, in the case of all 3 of those ships, they were able to get thrusters on. There's always bridge crew active up there ready to go. The engines are, basically at idle. Throw some power. Tugboats come in. They're able to push the ships back up, recover the gangways, push them back up, get them tied back off. So,
Andre's here. Hello, everyone. Nellie, I saw a video where at Ocean Key you have to pay for chairs and umbrellas. Coco Key, it's all included.
I hadn't seen that. I don't disbelieve it. But there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet, too, that I would always verify every little thing, because my favorite one going on right now is there's a rumor out there that Carnival Cruise Lines is scrapping the remainder of the fantasy class ships. They're getting scrapped this year. And Carnival's already said, what? We're doing what? No, they're going into dry dock. They're getting some updates, and they have bookings all the way through 2026 already. Those ships are not getting scrapped this year, but there's people out there putting out videos and YouTubes and TikToks and this and that saying that fantasy class ships are getting scrapped this year. Yeah, not true. Not true.
Cruising Chris says our first port stop was Miami, and they had bad storms where they stopped embarkation and disembarkation for about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a video where they said it was like 60-mile-an-hour winds and stuff like that. Now, I don't know if it was in Miami, but they were on the dock, the cruise ship and everything. So, yeah, for everyone's safety, I can understand that.
Yeah, they don't want the ship to push away while there's people, embarking and disembarking on board one of those ships.
David is here. Good evening, everyone. Cruising Chris said, don't have to pay for chairs, have to pay for umbrellas at Ocean Key.
See, there we go. So that's what I'm talking about. There's a video out there saying you have to pay for these chairs at Ocean Key. Apparently you don't. Umbrellas, a lot of places you got to pay if you want the extra shade umbrellas and stuff like that, but usually not just to get a chair. It's just so much misinformation out there.
No, they said the video was from World America, and they showed how MSC nickels and dimes everything on ships and island, and they showed the prices of everything. That's all the cruise lines, though. They tend to nickel and dime.
Yeah, I mean, you can get nickel and dime by any cruise line if you let them. But I'm also a firm believer that you don't have to let them nickel and dime you.
Mm-mm.
You can cruise with spending almost zero money on board the ship if you really want to.
Yeah.
No one makes you get a bar drink. Nobody makes you buy anything. You don't have to eat in a specialty restaurant. In theory, you could eat in the dining rooms, eat in the buffets, never have to buy a bite of food. If you're willing to drink water and bad orange juice and overly sweetened freaking guava punch or whatever it is that they pump out of that thing, you can cruise without spending any money. It is theoretically possible. You could bring your drinks on board.
I think one cruise we spent less than $50.
Mm-hmm. We've done it before just to
see if we could.
Just to see if we could. I can honestly say our vacation was no worse from doing that than it was any other time.
Nelly, Andre said booked cruise and 2 people can't make it. If I change them out with my wife and son, since it's only one, will they refund me for the difference for him?
Call the cruise line, or if you have a personal vacation planner, and ask specifically. Some will charge fees for changing names, some don't. Honestly, all depends on the cruise line. I would call them directly and see, because it's going to vary.
Mm-hmm. Misty said, husband and I got sunburnt last weekend. Didn't get burned on our cruise. Think we need to be on a cruise ship more. Absolutely.
Well, David said, I
missed that one. I love the fantasy class first ships I went on in 93.
Yeah. So that rumor that Carnival's scrapping those ships is absolutely not true at this time. That is directly from, Carnival Cruise Line's brand ambassador, John Heald. He was asked the question. His response was, all right, tell me who's putting this crap out here so I can go and correct them. Mm-hmm. They have no plans. They are selling bookings on those ships. So not being scrapped at this time.
Nellie said, okay, that was Chris M. I misspoke. Sorry, I was in a rush writing. Bob's here. Good evening, all. Nellie says, but chairs in the Caribbean with no shade is a burn waiting to happen. Yes. Pack sunscreen.
Pack sunscreen. We don't usually get an umbrella, do we? You like umbrellas.
It just, a lot of times we get there early enough that we find a spot under a tree. A lot of times we're under a palm tree. We've
been under trees. We have been under umbrellas.
Yeah.
But then I usually roam off in the ocean anyway.
Yeah.
So. Maybe we're not the smartest beachgoers.
Maybe not. James said, laugh out loud. Yes, you are right, Nelly. Ray says, we are late. Hi from Nags Head. You're not late?
Oh, yeah. No, not late at all. We're just talking about all of the interesting things going on in the cruising world. Some of the fake stories out there. Some cruise ships escaping this week from their moorings. All I can say is I hope the Seascape, she has all brand new lines by the time we get on her in November, right?
Yeah.
Tiffany says, I don't want it leaving while I'm standing there watching it go.
Yeah. Nellie said, Princess Casino gave me a comp cruise, $400 deposit and $600 taxes for deluxe balcony on the new Star Princess. $1,000 versus regular price $6,000.
That's a pretty good deal.
That's a really good deal.
That is a really, really good deal.
Yeah. Cruising Chris says drink package and Wi-Fi work on Ocean Key, so that's a plus. Unfortunately, our stop at Ocean Key only had about an hour on the island, and Mother Nature gave us rain the rest of the time.
That sounds about right, too.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm notorious that unless the ship makes us get back on board, we've played in the ocean in the rain before.
Yeah. We've also gotten the swimming pool. That's the best time to get in the swimming pool on the ship is when it's raining because everybody else gets out.
That's true.
We get in. I mean, you're already getting wet.
Right. Yeah, we've seen that more than once. It'll start to rain on a cruise ship while they're in the pool, and people will get out of the pool. And so that's when Tiffany and I will get in the pool. Yeah. And then you have the whole pool yourself.
Probably the only time I'll get in the pool.
That's true.
Nellie says, to Alaska. Oh, that's an even better trip.
That isn't even. That's a good trip.
Yes. California Lender at Cruising Chris. Enjoy your cruise. Attila, anyone hear about the Regal Princess getting a new engine in their dry dock, and it's leaving Galveston in 26 for good?
Yes, there's actually a really cool video on YouTube that shows that process. So we all know the Regal Princess. When she was back in Galveston, because right now I think she's over in Europe. She was having the engine problems. They had to cancel the cruise and this and that. She had to go to emergency dry dock. And during emergency dry dock, they actually had to cut a hole in the side of the ship, pull out the old engine, and replace it with a brand new engine. And there's a video over on YouTube. I can put a link to it after the live if anybody wants to go check it out. But it's kind of a quick time-lapse video showing the engine going in and out. That's a lot of work and a very, very large engine. Yes. That had to go into the Regal Princess. But yeah, at this point in time, Princess is leaving Galveston when the Regal Princess leaves at the end of during 2026, and it's kind of up in the air after that.
Yeah. Ray says, with all these ships breaking loose, maybe it's time to get into the rope business.
Maybe.
I like it. Nellie says they tore a big old hole in that thing.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big. What is so amazing though is that you watch them cut that hole, pull that whole side of the cruise ship out, then they basically put it back in there, welded it back in, and painted it, and you really couldn't even tell they'd cut the hole in the side. Obviously, craftsmen at their job, because at the end you couldn't even tell there was a hole cut in the side of that ship.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty impressive. It's not like you could be like, oh yeah, that's where they cut it. No.
Pretty impressive.
I mean, you could see, I'm assuming it's like exhaust fans or something that were where they cut the hole. I don't know what they were, but they were like silver sections on their vents, air intake, something, because it's attached to the engine room. That'd be the only, it was right around in this area. Be the only way you'd ever know that they'd cut a hole in that ship.
Chris says they're disembarking tomorrow. It was just a short 4-day trip. David says, we went into the hot tub during the rain. The rain was cold, but the water was nice and hot. Best hot tub experience ever. Yeah,
and for whatever reason, when it rains, people get up and leave. Maybe they don't want their towels getting wet or their stuff on their chairs getting wet, but they get out and go when it rains. That is one of, unless there's lightning and stuff going on, that's the best time to go down and get in the pool. You got the place to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Nellie wants to know if Chris M lives in Florida. He said no, Northwest Indiana. Yeah, Chris also says Beyond will be a 7-day. Attila said, I just heard about it, didn't see the video. Sounds real cool.
Yeah, it's a video that was shot by the actual shipyard doing the work. I got bits and pieces of it and stuff, but for copyright purposes, it's probably not a good idea to try to show it here on the live because it's from another YouTube channel. But I definitely can post a link to it so you can check it out because I thought it was super interesting to watch. The engineers talk about it a little bit. The video's probably 4 or 5 minutes.
Nellie says, when I booked the Princess, the rep told me that so many people complained about pulling out of Galveston. They received an email stating that canceled ports were getting looked at again.
I believe it. Galveston becoming more and more popular. It's a very convenient cruise port for Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, the surrounding states for them to come down and go to Galveston versus flying or driving to Florida or California for everybody right in the middle. And so it's something they want. They want more cruise ships, more variety, more options, more choices. And for fans of Princess to be like, hey, finally Princess comes to Galveston and then is disappearing without a real explanation. Because that's the other thing. Princess is not given a real explanation as to why they're going to stop.
Nellie added to it. The rep also said the Majestic got moved to South America because of complaints of no South America anymore. Now Galveston is a new issue that Princess didn't know would blow up.
Well, honestly, they probably should have known that because the ship was booking full. I could get it if the ship was booking half, 3/4, and sailing with empty cabins, a bunch of empty cabins every time. And Princess is going, we're just not making any money sailing out of Galveston. No one books our ship. Then I could see them being shocked and surprised. But when your ship is booked out and people are wanting it to come back and they're continuing to book it, and you go, I'm shocked and surprised that this is a problem. Then you're probably not very good at your job, and we should look for something else to do. Her Walmart hiring. Just saying.
David said, we are on Alaska cruise on the 12th. Any suggestions? Binoculars.
Watch for whales. You're gonna see whales.
Binoculars for everybody in the party.
Do not binocular share in your cabin.
No, do not. You're going to wind up in a fight. You're going to want to push somebody over the side.
I only tried to do that to you once because you were hogging the binoculars.
Take rain gear, a raincoat or something like that.
Layers.
Yes, and layers. Wear layers.
And take the time to just see whatever you want to see. We did not book a single excursion on our last cruise to Alaska. We didn't pay for it a single one and had an absolute blast. Just exploring and enjoying. The temperature difference was so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Every day, nice and cool and crisp. And I'd go back to Alaska in a heartbeat.
Try the fireweed.
And eat stuff with fireweed in it.
Yeah. Eat the local stuff.
Yep.
Is it Skagway for the fry bread?
Yeah, Alaska fry. Yeah, you had that in Skagway.
Fried dough, yes. Try the fried dough in Skagway. It is amazing. Yes, there's a line. Be patient, but it's worth it. Yeah.
The prostitute museum gets crowded.
Yes.
And they fight in the line.
Yes, they do.
At least in our one experience.
Yeah, to the point I just got out of line. I'm like, if they're gonna act like this before we even get in there, I don't want to know what they're gonna be like when we get in there.
That's cruise passengers, though.
Yeah.
That wasn't the establishment.
That's from the rep, so I don't know how true all that is. James said, I have a feeling Princess will take another look and change their minds in the future, especially with more and more cruise lines looking at Galveston.
Yeah, especially with the change. 2 cruise lines that we know of from last week want to expand or come to Galveston. They're unnamed at this time. Disney Cruise Lines have said, we want year-round sailing out of Galveston. Honestly, at the end of the day, if Princess wants to be like, oh, okay, their loss. That's honestly their loss. Maybe they don't see it that way, but that's how I look at it. It's their loss because somebody else like Royal Caribbean will go, let's send a celebrity ship over there to pick up that slack that Princess would have gotten. Princess is a step above, supposedly. It's a mid-level, type cruise line above, your value cruise lines. And so if Royal Caribbean was to slide a celebrity ship up there to pick up that little bit of slack, if Carnival was to go, or Holland America, you know what I mean? Pick up that little bit of slack out of Princess, somebody else has the option to benefit from that.
Yes.
Norwegian's already said they're going to come in full time once the new terminal is built. MSC's coming in full time. Kind of seems like the writing is clearly on the wall that Galveston is growing. Cruise lines want a part of it, and then you see one back out.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me somewhere someone's getting stared at in their office going, you did what? you did what?
Attila said, how many of y'all listen to the cruise directors on Carnival? They ask for a show of hands on what state they are from in audience, and Oklahoma and Texas is top number. Texas, it always like blows the roof off because Texas, there's so many Texas cruisers.
Well, yeah, sailing out of Galveston.
Yeah. David said, thank you for the info. Nellie says he seems to think that Princess will announce Galveston again, but of course that's his speculation.
I think that they will purely for I really believe somewhere somebody's getting their butt chewed for a decision like that. They may be waiting for a couple of new ships to come out. Maybe they're going to rotate something newer in. Who knows? But there could definitely be something behind the scenes we didn't know about. Princess doesn't have the vast number of ships that some of the other ones do. And they could simply be having to shuffle around until they get a couple more ships.
Attila says Oklahoma and Arkansas cruisers are very popular on Carnival, it seems. Louisiana, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, Little Monster is here. Welcome. Says, hey, it's Meg. Welcome, Meg. Bob, Attila Royal does the same, and Texas is overwhelmingly the favorite. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nellie says, Tiffany Haley said you and her will be on the first cruise on the new big Disney ship from Galveston. Absolutely. I will start saving already.
She's watching to see which one they're going to announce. Which one do you hope for? Let's ask you that. Because you've been on the Magic, you've been on the Wonder, you've been on the Fantasy, you've been on the Dream.
Mm-hmm.
My prediction, purely a prediction, is that you're going to get either the Dream or the Fantasy in Galveston as the first ship. The sailing year-round, beyond the Wonder and the Magic. They say they want the Wonder and the Magic to come out, a bigger ship to come in. I think it's going to be the Dream or the Fantasy.
Me, personally, I'm kind of hoping it's the Fantasy.
Because you that was the very first ship you ever sailed on? You want to go on again?
Yes.
It very well could be. But I got a feeling it's going to be one or the other of those ships.
Nellie says, is a regular NCL ship coming full-time to Galveston?
Supposedly, once the new terminal is built, it's going to be shared with MSC Cruise Lines. And when it's shared with MSC Cruise Lines, they're going to start keeping a ship here full-time.
Attila says, Bob, I guess I should have said after Texas, of course, they are the majority for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
I said it's a driving distance thing. Even from, granted, Texas is huge, but even if you're going from Oklahoma down, that you can still do that in one day. And so makes sense.
All right. James says the Harmony will be my second cruise out of Galveston, and I'm excited. Got to tell Rick I'm staying near the Strand. I'm not sure if I remember where the Strand is.
What? Yeah, why is that cramping my brain?
I don't know.
James, you have to let us know exactly where you're staying. I feel like I should know that exact spot, and it is not. My brain is not clicking. My brain is not clicking.
All right. And Little Monster is your other daughter. Yay!
Everybody, welcome. Little Monster on there. That is Meg. That is our youngest. She has joined us in tonight's live.
Misty says, have a good night, all. She's jumping off. California Linda.
Good night, Misty.
Yes, good night, Misty. See you next week. California Linda at David. In Skagway, the ship excursions on the White Pass Railroad. This past month, it was snowing once we left Skagway. The snow-covered bridge, stunning.
Yes, now that is definitely, and I didn't even think about that, but the White Pass Railroad in Skagway, that is an excursion that we would book and are looking forward to booking next time. So yeah, absolutely.
And which one is it? Ketchikan that's got Creek Street? No,
yes,
Creek Street. You've got to go to Creek Street in Ketchikan.
Yeah, it's not salmon season yet.
Though. No, it's not salmon season, but apparently they've had a lot of rain, and so all the falls and the stream is running rapidly, and it's quite pretty.
I like the sound of that.
So Attila says Dallas and Austin area beat Houston area cruisers on our last one by a lot, which is interesting.
I guess it just varies probably.
Yeah. David says we have the White Pass Railroad booked.
Yeah, I have heard tons and tons of good stuff on that one, and that is definitely on our to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
For our next trip up there is to grab that one. But we also had a ton of fun in Skagway, just walking around in Skagway.
David said also the duck boat. I don't know what the duck.
That's one of them ones that land in sea boats.
Oh.
Remember, we see those down in Galveston.
Yeah, well, we were watching them because where the cruise was, I don't want to say parked because that's not correct.
Docked.
With
our parking space, threw some change in the meter.
Yeah.
It's about what it comes down to.
There was there where they kept all the planes right there, and we were watching them take off and land and stuff like that. Right.
That's the seaplanes. Talking about the ones the duck boats.
Oh,
the ones that drive, and then they go in the water.
Oh yeah. Okay. See, I'm completely thrown off. I need to go take a nap.
At this time of day, you're beyond nap.
Yes. James, I'm staying on Church Street and 19th, walking distance to all the shops and restaurants and the candy store that you took me to the last time. It's on the Strand. Okay, so you're more downtown.
Yeah, okay.
Attila said,
we should have known that.
Yeah. Attila said, well, maybe Houston cruisers were just shy folks.
You staying down there? Are you staying at the tenant? I wonder if you're staying over at the tenant house.
I don't know. California Linda at David. Yeah, the cruise lines book the train offer without a ship's excursion. You are not able to purchase a ticket. So I guess you have to do that through the ship. Railway in Skagway, go up on train on left-hand side and return on a bus. Different views and spectacular. Texas Cruisers here. Hi, Rick.
Welcome to tonight's show.
James says, yes, David, I was looking at the duck boats. Nellie said, there he is.
Here we go. Now it's going to get started.
Yes.
Now it is going to get started.
Yeah.
But yeah, so lots of good things to do. And I mean, pretty much everything in Alaska, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but yeah, definitely when you are cruising, you will, if you're into nature, you will spend a lot of time on your balcony. And just sitting out there with a pair of binoculars, you will see eagles, you will see whales, for sure. Because we went in towards the end of May, and we're seeing all that stuff. So you should still, burpee tonight, see a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Way more whales than I ever thought we would see.
And it was easy to see the eagles because the leaves or the trees hadn't quite started getting their foliage on them. You see this big blob on the top of the tree. And so it was really easy to see them. California Linda, David, yes, they asked to see it in Skagway and sometimes on the return trip back to the ship. Oh, JB Ranch says, I've seen lots of smuggling videos. Saw yours on the TikToker. Maybe someone should make a video how to smuggle a bottle of wine on board.
That lady is cracking me up. So I don't know if you watched that one.
No, but you were telling me about it.
Yeah. So for those who hadn't seen it, I did do, came out yesterday, day before. She made a video talking about how we smuggled alcohol on board the cruise ship, showed them taking it out of their suitcase, showing it to the camera. Yay, we got away with it. Well, Carnival Cruise Line saw the video, tracked her down, and she even put out comments saying, we're not posting this till after the cruise so we don't get in trouble, things like that. Carnival tracked her down, gave her a lifetime ban for smuggling on board the cruise ship. She made a follow-up video. And I actually have a copy of the follow-up video because it's so funny. Because she wants an apology from Carnival Cruise Lines because it was done in jest. It was fake. She only did it for clicks and views. But nowhere in that video could you tell that it was meant to be fake or for clicks and views. And she says, Carnival has challenged my integrity and I'm a person of integrity. I'm a content creator and blah, 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 blah. That's all I heard. Because you made,
teaching people how to smuggle stuff.
F around and find out. F around and find out. You thought you were funny, even if it was completely fake. You dummy made that video, posted that video, and now you got the consequences of that video. And coming back later and going, well, it's all fake and just in jest, and it was meant to be content creation. Well, content creation got you banned. And welcome to the real world. And nobody owes you an apology. She said, does anybody know a good lawyer? I would love to be in that conversation. Mr. Lawyer, I want to hire you because I made this video and then the cruise line saw it and they called me a liar when I said I didn't do it. I said I didn't do it and they just don't believe me. I have integrity, I'm a content creator. Make them say they're sorry.
Nellie says, in Juneau, I will have all my Samoan friends that live there come bring me island food. Fun fact, tons of Samoans live in Alaska. Not that you asked. But that is an interesting fact.
That is an interesting fact.
That would explain a lot of, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been on a roll tonight with being wrong. The totem poles and stuff.
I mean, wouldn't that have been Inuits?
I don't know. That's why I said correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure that was Inuits.
Yeah,
baby.
I'm showing how dumb I am today.
But that actually is an interesting fact because I did not know that there was a large population of Samoans in Alaska. I actually didn't know that.
Attila says, Skagway trying to raise the port fees by quite a bit. Will it pass, you think? It sounded like there was a tax law problem.
That one, I did see a story on that, and it has to do with excursions and paying taxes on excursions and other things like that. They're currently being sued. Cruise line suing, or somebody's suing against that. We'll see what happens with that. That has become the new normal. Cruise ports, cruise destinations are like, hey, we need some new scratch. What can we do? Hey, new taxes on cruisers. That's like the current trend.
Yeah.
So all of them in Alaska. Juneau's trying to do it. Sitka was trying to do it. So it's a new thing.
James says, Chris, I'm staying near the Strand on Church Street in an Airbnb, pretty nice and walking distance to
Okay, Airbnb. I always forget about Airbnbs. I am not a fan of the Airbnb.
Texas Cruiser says, why smuggle a bottle of wine when you can bring 2 bottles on board legally? Nellie says,
it was a joke.
I know. Nellie says, but now she doesn't care. She got banned. If she doesn't care, why make another post?
Yeah, I don't care if I got banned, but I want an apology. No, you got caught. Whether you got caught because you had alcohol or you got caught because you're dumb, you got caught.
James says, good point, Rick. Nellie says, because Rick, someone might want 3 bottles of wine. California at JB Ranch, on most cruises, each adult over 21 is able to bring on 1 bottle of wine. On some cruises, it's only 1 per captain.
We can all be honest here, okay? People are going to sneak stuff on board cruise ships. They are going to continue to sneak stuff on board cruise ships. Cruise ships are going to continue to try to catch them and stop them. This is a fun, vicious circle it's going to continue for well into the future. But if you're doing it, don't post a video of yourself doing it. I know as adults, I shouldn't have to say that out loud. That, hey, don't feel yourself being dumb and post it to the internet where everybody sees it. Yet, boy, they give me content to show weekly. So,
David, her offspring should also be banned. Texas says, Nelly, Nelly, Nelly. James says, actually, this one was pretty nice and cheaper than most of the hotels. Nelly said, yeah, James, the hotels in Galveston are pricey.
I just have an anti-Airbnb thing.
And the hotels in Galveston are pricey depending on what time you go, because that one we went to, and yes, it had shower caps, and I was fascinated by the shower caps. But we got it for what, like
less than $100?
Yeah. But then we found out during peak season in the middle of summer, that room goes 200.
Yeah. We have this weird tendency to catch sometimes just right.
Yeah.
No rhyme or reason to it. It's pure luck.
Yeah. That's like the Harbor House.
Catch that in January. You get it dirt cheap.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not an Airbnb person. I don't like dealing with a host. I don't like the fact that half the time the cleaning fees are more expensive than the nightly rental, plus the booking fees and all this other kind of stuff. When we go to Tennessee here in 25 more days, we're actually staying in an Airbnb, but my daughter took care of all of that, which is why we're staying in an Airbnb. Had it been left in my hands, we'd all be in a hotel. We would be.
I know.
But she likes Airbnb. She took care of all that. Basically, it was like, hey, Dad, here's a picture of where you're staying. Enjoy. And that was it, which is best.
Nellie said, or James said, yes, especially in August. Nellie said, to me, the Airbnb is good if traveling with lots of people, in my opinion. Yeah, because then you can share the cost. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of us so far gonna be there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10.
10.
Yeah, there's 10 of us going to Tennessee. So yeah, in this case, an Airbnb made perfect sense.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely made perfect sense. It's just a weird quirk that I have.
California Linda at Chris, any update or change on the group cruise?
Nope. October 2026, Carnival Magic. Though I'm not, the date has totally slipped my brain. It's October 3rd. October 3rd, Carnival Magic, sailing from Miami in 2026. Yep. No change.
James said, I like the OnePlus. We'll have to find out Rick hangout spot on the Strand.
There's some good spots to hang out over there. You want to grab a drink. There's some good spots. There's good food spots over there, all right up there and down there around on the Strand. I can't think of the name of it, but it's on the end right there. There's a burger place. It's like the Backyard, or something like that. It's, good burger, stuff like that. But we'll be over there at one point for sure, because Tiffany's gonna make me take her to the candy store.
Absolutely. Bob said we had given up on the Galveston hotels, now stay in Texas City, which is much cheaper and a short drive to the port. I have some friends that cruise out of Galveston quite frequently, and they do the same thing. They said Texas City is just a lot cheaper, and it's not that long of a drive.
Mm-mm.
So,
no, I mean, it makes perfect sense. We stay over there because of me, to be honest with you. I want to go over at a certain time and watch cruise ships come and go. She wants to go to the candy store. There's things specifically on Galveston we want to do, places we want to eat. Don't really want to drive back and forth. If we were just going there the night before, it would make sense, but there's too much I want to do on Galveston itself, and I always got to go to Pier 21. I got to watch cruise ships come and go, things like that. So
JB Ranch said the Strand back in the day was the red light district. Lots of history there. We went to that one museum that was actually the morgue for that devastating.
Yeah, it's next to the Pirate Museum.
Yeah,
I can't think of the name of it right now, but yeah,
I don't remember the name, but yeah, you could ride they had a ride in there. Do you remember the ride?
We walked through there.
Yeah, but there was a ride. They tried to get you to get in the ride. Do you remember the ride?
No. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the coffin ride.
It was a coffin. You laid down in it and bumped you around and you could hear the morticians talking like they were driving you to the grave. I'm like, no. Let's see. Ray says, I'm with you. Give me a hotel every time. James says, Rick, I will be there Wednesday the 13th. California Linda, when are deposits due? We are not on Facebook.
They will, if you're gonna do it through us, they won't be due until after we get back from Tennessee. I'll have to get the exact date.
Nellie says, I stay in Texas City too, but James is flying in. Nellie says, Rick needs to go show James around. Yes, I volunteered you, Rick.
James, he laughs.
James, well, since I'm flying in, it's easier for me to stay closer to the port. Plus, I'm going to be there a couple of days to check out Galveston.
There's a lot of good stuff to just check out in Galveston. Just cruise around as a tourist. Except we still go down there and do stuff, and we've been there a bunch of times. We're gonna go hang out at Moody Gardens. We were not Tiffany. You've never been there. Tiffany's never been to the Moody Gardens, so I got to take her to see that. They have sloths there.
Yes.
She wants to see a sloth.
David said, have you been on the Carnival Celebration?
No. We haven't sailed on Carnival in a while.
Since October, when we went on the group cruise in October with the family.
Yeah, that's the last time we've been on Carnival.
Yeah, it'll be 2 years this year. After the group cruise, maybe we can get you both to Bermuda and the Frog and Onion. Great food and beer.
Getting us to Bermuda is actually probably an easier one than most, particularly if there's a sailing out of Norfolk. Because I can get Tiffany to agree to go to Norfolk about any time of year very easily, because Norfolk is 3 hours away from where the grandbabies live, which means we have to go to the grandbaby's house on the way there. Tiffany would agree to Norfolk instantly.
Yes.
She'd get to see him twice. Once on the way to the cruise and then once on the way back from the
back
cruise.
All their prizes.
Oh, yeah. Then she can load up the truck and drop stuff right off to him. She's hooked now.
Yes. David said, we have a back-to-back in July. That sounds fun. Rick said Tiffany would love Moody Gardens.
I think she is going to too. Absolutely love it. Between the aquarium and the animals and stuff down there. So that's what we're going to be doing on the 15th of August.
David said, how about Baltimore, since the Pride goes there?
That's not that much further north either. we still have to go through North Carolina, which puts us, puts grandbabies right in the path, which is, of course, a very serious motivator to go that direction.
Very, very, very.
Yes.
California Linda, Moody Gardens is my favorite. Enjoy the penguins. Is the hotel you were thinking of the Grand Galveston Hotel?
No, for the one where James is at, it's the one that's downtown, that's down there on the Strand. It's called the Tenement, something like that. The Grand Galvez is over on the seawall. It's just like TENA. There's a spelling for it. I'm not 100% sure, but that's the one I thought he might be staying at.
Ray said, and then you can stop at our house on the Outer Banks and great seafood. Now, see, I would love that. Chris doesn't like seafood.
Where are you at? No, James was thinking about going to the aquarium at the Moody Gardens.
Okay. Well, we'll get in touch with you, and if you want to, we can
grab him on the way. Yeah.
Grab him on the way, and he can tour the aquariums with us.
Yeah, there's 3 pyramids. So it's one of them's like nature stuff, animals. There's an aquarium one. I think the other one's like a science one.
Well, we're going to have to go to the aquarium, and I got to see the sloth.
I know.
So I'm just saying.
I
Have your walking shoes on.
Yeah. Ooh, you like seafood, though.
Yeah, I love seafood.
I love seafood. But most of the time it works out. Majority of seafood places like that
have chicken tenders.
Or burger. Yeah, in situations like that, usually they'll have a burger or chicken tenders. They have something I'll eat.
Yes.
That way Tiffany can go absolutely crazy on seafood.
Yes. James says, sounds good. And California Linda says James is going to enjoy it. David said July 19th on the Pride for Bermuda of 2026.
You were trying to get me to go. Oh, I know where you were trying to go in 2026.
Texas Cruiser says one is an aquarium, another is a tropical forest, and third is a discovery pyramid. But we're going to have to go to the aquarium, and we're going to have to go to the tropical forest. And if we make it to the discovery pyramid,
we should.
Yes.
We should. We'll hit them as soon, because we're also planning on staying right there at Moody Gardens Resort. Mm-hmm. So,
definitely.
So we'll be able to check all that kind of stuff out and things like that. So that's going to be our hotel tour, and then of course Moody Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to go eat at that bakery place the next morning.
Yes, on 14th Street.
On 14th Street, which luckily from there it's a straight shot down to the cruise parking. So we got a rough plan.
David's asking, have we ever cruised to Tortola?
No,
we haven't. And James said he can do a mean steak on the grill. So you're covered. Yes, Rick, I'm staying on Church Street and 19th, I believe. Texas Cruiser said the Sunflower Bakery. So
that sounds right. Tiffany knows exactly where it is. She points at it when we drive by. You never take me there. Every single time.
And I've been telling him for what, 6 years, 7 years?
Something like that. So we are going to go this time.
Nellie said, I've never been to Tortola. Haley and I are looking at celebrity to them.
So we do want to go to Tortola, though.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many places we still want to go. So many places we haven't had the opportunity to go to yet. So we'll get there.
Rick said Sunflower Bakery is fantastic. It's where the locals go.
Yeah, it's been recommended way more than it's been recommended for years. Normally the problem is it's embarkation morning, and I have now reached absolute impatience mode. I have no intention of stopping anywhere to sit down and grab food. I am getting on that ship, but this time, since we are purposely getting on a little bit later to test our embarking later theory, I have to kill the what?
That's your theory. That's not my theory.
I have to kill time before then. So Tiffany's going to win and get some sunflower bakery.
We're all caught up.
We're all caught up. Awesome. So yeah, lots and lots of interesting stuff coming up. I said we 25 days, we start heading for Tennessee. That's going to be interesting. That's a 16-hour car ride. Yay, car ride. Worth it, but yay, car ride.
Cruising Chris says, I am going to Tortola on Celebrity Constellation. Texas Cruiser said, Whataburger is where I go embarkation day. Nelly said, is it bad I start to get on later? I want to get on when rooms are open. That's what he's testing the theory to see, is the if you can actually get to your room and put your stuff down and then go to the buffet and it not be so crowded in the buffet.
Or any place that you want to eat. I'm thinking once the room's open, if you can drop your bags, then you go eat. Everybody else is going to their rooms. They're ready to go in their rooms and go to the bathroom and sit down for a second. They're anxious. They're waiting. And you should have the run of the eaten readily available on the ship. And we don't have to carry nothing around. I think it's a good plan.
Nelly said, celebrity made me spoiled. You can go straight to your room.
That would spoil me too, to be honest with you. Not because I want to go hang out my room, but it would be. I make Tiffany carry a lot of cans on the ship.
He doesn't no. He says, no, don't take the monsters. I can deal with it. And then an hour after we're on the ship, he's like, I need a monster and we can't find one. So I purposely pack at least a 6-pack of monsters to get us through the first day.
Funny and accurate all at the same time.
Nelly said, I think you may be right on your theory. People eat at 11 straight away.
Yeah, so but that's my theory. I'm going to test it. I'm going to film it. I'm going to have factual video proof as to whether it worked or didn't work.
Here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. We're going to get on late. We're going to go put our stuff in the room and we're going to go to the buffet and it's going to be too late and it's going to be closed because they're getting ready for dinner.
Yeah, but then there's going to be there's still places to eat.
I know.
Remember, this is an Oasis class ship. There's munchies.
Yeah.
You can go to Sorrento's and get pizza. You can go to Park Cafe if it's open. I don't think that you'll.
So
and the Royal Buffet closes at 3.
Well, yeah. Carnival might close buffet at 2 p.m., right? Cut time close to eat there. Maybe it's 3 p.m. on embarkation day. Nelly says, celebrity, you can take your stuff and you have to leave, but at least no backpack and bags. James wants to know what time we're getting on board.
We are shooting to get on the ship around 1 o'clock. Rooms will be ready at 1:30, so I'm thinking we're looking for like a 12:30, 1 o'clock embarkation. We're running around 1 o'clock. Should be able to walk right on the ship, check in, walk right to our muster station, right to our room, right to eat.
Yeah.
That's the theory.
Right. No, I'm not sneaking drinks in. They're open cans that look just like that, and they're loose in my backpack, and they open up my backpack.
Right. Remember, you aren't allowed to bring 1 12-pack of soda on board the ship.
Yes.
Energy drinks, non-alcoholic, of course.
But he's being funny.
Oh,
he's being funny. But yeah, I'm they're snuck in my backpack.
Clanking in there like an old train, clank, 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 clank. Yeah, because they're loose running around.
Praying they don't hit so hard that they
pop and break open.
Yeah. We get on as soon as possible. We just drop off and leave. Bob says go to Park Cafe and get the roast beef.
Oh, I do love that roast beef.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. I'm good with having that embarkation day.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had it since I was on Allure. Well, that's the last time I had
Said,
one.
I love the Park Cafe on Allure and Harmony.
Did love it on Allure. I think you're gonna love it too. You're gonna enjoy because you're gonna have an opportunity to eat a lot of different things at a lot of different places. So
Michael's here. Welcome. Happy cruise, you two.
oh, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. It's a people from this chat right here are gonna be on board that ship with us.
Yeah, we're gonna have a blast.
We are gonna have a blast.
Gotta start shopping for door decorations.
Sorry, everybody. But no, yeah, no, it's going to be a fun cruise. It's going to be a cruise with some friends, and we're going to get on there. We're going to have a blast.
On Carnival Dream, you can go straight to Pasta Bella and get Italian for lunch. No one up there. Later on in cruise, they discover it, and it's packed for lunch.
Yeah, we tried to go to, was it Cucina del Capitan for lunch once?
Mm-hmm.
Or one of those places on Carnival for lunch one time, but it was past the first day.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they said it was like an hour and a half wait to eat. Something crazy like that.
Nellie, Rick, will you love the Park Cafe on Jubilee and MSC? Bob said, and don't forget the doghouse.
Doghouse is good. I'm a chili cheese hot dog kind of person, and the doghouse is good.
David said, I bring my 12-pack of ginger soda.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that name is. Bob, I think I am the only one who doesn't like the doghouse.
Doghouse just doesn't have all of the toppings that I would want on a hot dog.
James says, just remember, Tiffany, not my birthday, no decorations.
I would have just been quiet and hoped she forgot about it personally. That's like slapping a bear with a fish going, don't eat the fish. Don't eat the fish. That's encouraging her. Because now she's going to be looking at decorations going, which one is right for James? James's door is going to be covered with upside down pineapples.
No.
And pink flamingos.
Maybe the pink flamingos.
That means the same thing as pineapples now.
Never mind.
Tiffany's like, yeah, pink flamingos.
Nellie said, I can't wait. It's my mom's first cruise. See, we've got to make sure she gets pixie dusted and all of that.
You do you.
I plan on it.
Well, for her first cruise, she is going to, I think she's going to have a blast. She's going to have fun. She knows there's going to be a group that she can meet and talk to when she gets on the ship, besides obviously Nellie. But she's going to have some like ready-made friends to go when she gets on the ship. And so I think that would make her even happier, more comfortable. Sort of situation. I think it's going to be a blast. She's going to love it.
Nick is here. Welcome, Nick. Hope you have a fantastic cruise. Absolutely. James said the problem is, you know my cabin number.
I do. She doesn't. I'm a nice guy. I don't have to give it to her.
Rick says, how about a string of pink lights with pink flamingo magnets on James's door? Rick, aren't you on this cruise too?
I think so.
I thought he was on this cruise too, but he was with the other group.
No, that's the MSC group.
Oh.
That's when he's traded to the other group.
Nellie said, yeah, she can go talk to y'all when I go to casino.
Hey, that's the fun of being in a group there, you know. At least she knows she has somebody to hang out with.
Yeah.
If she's not into the casino, we won't be in there a whole lot.
Nellie said MSC is her trick. Rick is a traitor.
We just walk by and throw rubber ducks at him.
Nellie, we will do our best to make sure she enjoys every minute of it.
She will. She will. A little shenanigans, some relaxing, a bunch of eating of good food.
Mm-hmm.
hanging out and just laughing at the goofiest stuff. If she's into that, she's going to have a blast.
Texas Cruiser, laugh out loud. Nelly, it's not me, but my alter ego.
All right, y'all, we gotta stop. I'm gonna get hate mail from that other contact creator one of these days. That's 2 weeks in a row. Eventually, I'm gonna get a hate email that says, "Why are you picking on my channel?
Yeah.
Why are you talking about my group cruise?"
We're all caught up. Oh, I will remember that if she does. Nelly says, throw a duck at Rick and say, island time this.
Yeah, here comes hate mail.
Rick said, bad Nelly.
Oh my God. Shouldn't have to apologize to other channels at the end of our life. We love you all. All right, I think we are going to get ready to wrap this up before this turns, for the bad here. Yeah. You gonna say bye?
Bye.
You say,
Right
bye.
then, we'll miss you both. Bye. Have a great time. We know you will.
Yeah, so we still got a little bit of time on that. The cruise is not for another 72 days, something like that. We will be back next week. We got 2-3 more live shows this month. The only time I know we won't have one will be the week of July the
4th.
Yeah, July 4th week. I want to say it's July 2nd. We won't be doing a show because, of course, we will be in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
But we will be back next week. And, yeah, we'll be here.
Yep. Meg, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We really, really would.
Francis says, have a great cruise. Nelly said, it's not you saying stuff, it's me.
That's right. He did it.
July 31st, Mariner of the Seas is my next cruise.
Awesome.
And then he gets back and we turn around and go in August.
Yeah, no. Maybe there's something to this casino thing.
Maybe
there's something to it.
All right.
But, yep, so we are going to hop off of here. As I said, we will be back next week. Let me find the right buttons I need to click. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's been a fun, super night, like always. And, of course, we will see you
out on the high seas.
Good night, everybody.